Hey guys, my name's Viz. I'm a competitive Call of Duty player, and today I'm going to be going over just about everything I know about Call of Duty with the intention to help you become a better Call of Duty player. So I'm a massive Call of Duty enthusiast. I love Call of Duty. This year's Call of Duty has been nothing but a challenge, and it's still a challenge every single day. I'm always finding myself trying to get better and trying to create a better understanding of the game every day to be the best player I can possibly be. So I'm going to go over everything that I do. I'm going to go over things that I would recommend, and then I'm going to go over things that, are personal preferences. So obviously I can't say use this, do this, and this, and you will, get better at the game. It doesn't really work like that. There are some things I will definitely advise, and then there's some things that are just personal preference. And I think that alone is something a lot of people in a lot of different things don't tell you. So we're gonna start on the PlayStation 4 because I play on PlayStation 4 and I play with a PlayStation 4 controller. So I'm just gonna quickly go to my settings. And this is something that I only found out recently, so I thought I'd quickly share. In sound and screen, video output, resolution, you want to make sure it's on 1080p. You want the best resolution possible to begin with. Alright, so we'll get that out of the way. We'll go into the game. I'm currently in a free-for-all custom games on Shoot House. Just so I can show a few things in terms of gameplay, and yeah. So I'm going to go to options. We're going to start on the controller screen, and we have, obviously the first thing there is button layout preset, stick layout, and invert vertical look. So with that being said, the only thing I would say to really try out of all of these would just be tactical, or even tactical flipped. I thought it was a thing, but definitely tactical. So I have mine on default because I use a scuff controller, and with that being said, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have told you by now, but using tactical flips the melee and crouch button around, which might help when it comes to smoother maneuvering in terms of sliding, crouching, and just maintaining your aim and control over the analog stick. I personally just use default because I use a scuff controller, which have paddles on the bottom of the controller, paddles that are remapped to X square, circle, triangle. This allows me to never take my thumb off my aiming analog stick, which is really beneficial in a lot of different cases, especially in Battle Royale when it comes to repairing your armor, looting, opening doors, reviving, jumping, crouching, sliding, and slide cancelling, which I'll get into later. Not many people know what slide cancelling is, which is actually crazy considering every competitive player has been doing it for months and months and months. And yeah, there's that. So these are obviously personal preferences. Whatever you're most comfortable using, I would just recommend to use default, and maybe even pick up a Battle Beaver controller, a Nacon Revolution controller, or a Scuff controller. If you're really about improving, I think in this day and age, using a device like that will really help you. There is an attachment device called the Strike Pack. It adds paddles on the bottom side of your controller for X and circle, which is jump and slide. They really do help. However, if you don't want to spend money between $80 to $250, you can play claw, and claw is when you put your right index finger on the square, X, circle, triangle buttons, the right side D-pad, and then you use your middle finger to shoot and use the tactical button, which is very, very skillful and might save you some money if you don't really have the intention on spending money, play to win in a sense. So we're going to move further down this page here. Sensitivity. This is something that I've been looking at closely for the last maybe week, and it definitely does come down to personal preference and whether you're using a control freak or not, and you know, things like that really. So horizontal and vertical for me, this is a new sensitivity for me, and I've been playing on 8.8 and then the low zoom and high zoom on 0.66, 0.66. So I looked at many different, you know, professional Call of Duty players and just, you know, big content creators, guys that, you know, are making the best gameplays out to date. So they're all using sensitivities between 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. And I find it's too slow for me, but that's because I like to move a little quicker and I like to adjust and center a little quicker. Centering is something I'll get into just after this. Because I like to snipe too, and having a low sensitivity when sniping, depending on the way that you play the game, can be a little tricky. But that's what I meant by personal preference. Everyone plays the game different, everyone moves differently, all the game modes are different, all the maps are very tricky and different. So there isn't a real way to say you need to play the game like this. It's more you need to play the game a lot and develop a play style and a gameplay for yourself, and then you just develop on that gameplay, whether if it's defending or pushing or holding a spawn or flanking. You know, there's normally something that you find yourself doing more, and I think just stick to that and develop on that. So even if it's camping or defending, you know, if it's something that you do and you do it well, just stick by it and develop on that and make that your way to play the game. I think that's going to make you happiest in the long run as well. So with that being said, I'm still going to talk more about sensitivity and why I use 0.66 and why I run a higher sensitivity compared to some people. So you'll find some really good Call of Duty players, they play on around 5 to 6 and their ADS sensitivity is a little bit higher. That's because their sensitivity is low. So they need their aim down sight sensitivity to be a little bit higher just to keep up with the speed. I think that makes sense. But because I play on a higher sensitivity compared to 5 and 6, mine is on 8. I need a lower ADS sensitivity just to control. So I use a higher sensitivity here because I want to be able to, you know, turn on people and center fast. And then I use the ADS sensitivity, you know, it's a little slower and you have more control. I really hope that makes sense. So low zoom is iron sights, reflex sights, like it says just here on the right side of the screen there. And high zoom is, you know, 3 times or more. And, you know, sniper scopes, for example, variable zoom. With the aim response curve type, I use standard. I think for a casual Call of Duty player, I think standard might be the best because like it says, it's a simple power curve map from aim stick to aim rate. So when you move your right analog stick to aim, it's going to be slow at first, but the more you move it, it will start to pick up its speed. Whereas I think with linear, the speed is already there the second you touch the analog stick. I think that's how it works. I haven't really messed with them too much. I did use linear a little bit, but I think standard for a casual gamer on controller might be the best. However, if you're a little more advanced and you're really up to speed with what you're taking in, like visually on screen, maybe linear might be the best. Controller vibration, we want that disabled. Aim assist, I run standard, it's the lightest, and I find it's the most consistent and smoothest aim assist to use. Precision is good if you are accurate, like it says, but I find that it is a strong aim slowdown, and I find that that really puts my shot off. When I'm aiming near an enemy, it kicks in when I don't quite want it to. Especially when I have an enemy near the enemy I want to shoot at and it's very stiff and the aim slowdown is very strong in that whole area. I don't want it to always be like that. Focusing is the same. So I use standard. I would recommend standard. Unless you're very, very new to analog gaming. Like let's say you literally just got a console and you're playing, I would probably recommend you use precision or focusing. But standard should be the way to go for now. This is another really good one, weapon mount activation. This is, you know, how you mount a wall. So I use double tap ADS, so when I'm approaching a wall or going to peek around a corner, it's pretty much, you know, I double tap my ADS button and I'm ready to go. I'm not fiddling with the ADS button and the, you know, the melee button as this other setting is, the ADS and melee. I find it's a little buggy and I don't find it to be the smoothest. There is just ADS too, so if you ADS near a wall, you'll mount it. That might be good if you're going for mount kills for the weapon camo challenges, but I would definitely just recommend double tap ADS. As a sniper, I'm sort of used to tapping the ADS button, you know, to have the scope sort of ready. And, you know, when you're sprinting around, you kind of always want to be sort of ready on the ADS button as you are on the trigger button. So I think double tap is the way to go there. And then weapon mount, just enable, like the weapon mount movement exit, you want that enabled. So when you move, you want to be exiting, not stuck there on the wall. Aim down sight, hold. Equipment behavior, I guess, yeah, hold. And use reload behavior. For Warzone, I think contextual tap is the way to go. Pretty much just tap square as you're like running over loot. Pick it up really quick. Saves you having to hold it and it be a little bit slow and buggy. So definitely go with contextual tap. Just remember that when you go to get in and out of a vehicle, you just have to tap square. Don't be like trying to reload or something as a passenger and you end up jumping out of the vehicle at full speed. Or let's say you're in a helicopter and you jump out and you're like, oh wow, that's yeah, that's gonna wreck the game for the guys. Down to movement, slide behavior, you want that on tap. You're gonna need that when you are slide cancelling, and I'm gonna get into slide cancelling around the same time I get into centering, which will be probably after I get through all of these settings here. So auto move forward, I wouldn't really recommend that one. It's just when you double push forward with your left analog stick, it'll automatically move forward for you. I don't really think that would be somewhat beneficial unless your analog was broken, or maybe you have a sore thumb. Yeah, but I guess it's there. But auto tactical sprint, that is something that I've been using for months now. So automatic sprint, I think this is huge, especially when you want to auto tactical sprint and then slide and slide cancel and stand and really maneuver around much faster. Doing that, having that setting switched on will save some pain and strain on your thumb, especially in Warzone, because at some points it involves a lot of running around. So I would recommend to at least use auto sprint and give auto tactical sprint a go just here. So yeah, we'll go across to general. Brightness, obviously this is going to be a personal preference. It might also depend how bright your monitor or TV is, the contrast on those as well. I just have mine on 55. It's kind of pretty dark, but I don't want it to be too bright and cloudy, if that makes sense, and glary. Film grain, you want that on 0. Subtitles disabled. Colorblind type, I have mine on the deuteranopia. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, I don't know. But it just makes the colors more vibrant, and the enemy nameplates are actually yellow and very clear. So in multiplayer, it's very clear to spot somebody. So when you have a colorblind type selected, you want to make sure you go to Colorblind Target and make sure you have it on both or weld, not just interface, because you want it to be applied to the actual game as well, not just the interface, if that makes sense. World motion blur, gotta be disabled. Weapon motion blur, gotta be disabled. You don't want the screen being blurry when you're turning, aiming, shooting, anything. You want it to be clear. You want to be able to, you know, pretty much see what's going on. You need all the information there and not blurry. So you need all that information to be seen clear as crystal as fast as possible, so that way you can make a decision quicker or snap to an enemy quicker. If the enemy in the distance is blurry and you can't really identify them, you're not really going to know if it's an enemy or not. When you are moving fast-paced, stuff like that is really important. And then, okay, so moving further down, minimap shape square, because it's a little bit larger, you can see more on the map. Whether that is in multiplayer or Warzone, I think you should definitely have it on square. Mini-map rotation, this might be a personal preference. I like to have mine enabled, so when I'm moving, the map is turning in a circular motion as well, rather than it just staying locked there, and the only thing that changes is where my character is aiming. Both have their benefits depending on how you play. When it comes to trying to establish the direction you're facing, whether it's north, west, east or south, it might be better to have this disabled for that matter, but I have it enabled because I'm not really making callouts all that much to do with direction in Warzone. With the new function to ping enemies, I think using that function is a hell of a lot more beneficial than trying to work out what degree the enemy is at and what direction they are. Just sort of ping them and go from there. Content filters, yeah, okay, so we're on to audio. So audio mix, boost low, it's the best setting for footsteps. I don't care what anyone says, it's the way it is. I've watched like 10 fucking audio videos trying to work out which one is the best, and boost low is definitely the best. If you think it's not, you think something else might be better, if I'm to pick a second best, it's dynamic home theater, but I would not even say that it's anywhere near as good as boost low. Some people go boost and some people go boost high, but with boost, it literally just makes everything loud, whereas boost low makes certain frequencies a little bit louder, such as footsteps on certain surfaces at certain distances, and it's really important. Master volume, you want that on 100 because you want to be able to hear what's going on. Music volume, you don't really want to be distracted by music blasting at the start of the game and at the end of the game when you're trying to focus and listen for those footsteps. Dialogue volume rather, people say to have this off. I actually have just worked out recently that the teammates in this game and your own character actually calls out where people are, and having that dialogue volume there of listening to the, let's say, oh, the UAV is going offline, or the gas is rolling in, or there's an enemy by, you know, the cargo container. That sort of information can be very useful, so I would definitely recommend having that volume up at a level where you can hear them, but it's not going to distract you from, you know, listening to your actual buddies' call outs and footsteps, etc, etc. Effects volume, you want that all the way up. That's kind of the same as master volume. I'm not 100% sure, but just have that bad boy all the way up. Going down to this sort of stuff doesn't really matter. Voice chat doesn't really matter. Well, it depends if you're using party chat, it depends if you're using Discord, you know, etc, etc. I don't even know why I said have it disabled. I just have it disabled because when I'm in games I actually have my mic open. I don't know why really, it's just when I'm talking to the stream I can hear my voice, I'm not muted, the sound cancellation is not as strong when my mic is actually down. Personal preference, I guess. Weird, I don't even know why I mentioned that. So over to account, I don't think there's any of the settings here that's going to help you with anything crazy. No. So I've gone over everything. Hope I haven't gone too long here, but I'm literally trying to cover as much as I can. So what I was going to move on to next was centering, and what I meant by centering in terms of, like, you know, sensitivity is this is your normal sensitivity here, and you want to have a lot of control in that just as well as when you're aiming down the sight too. So centering is that little white dot right in the middle of your TV or monitor, and you want to have that, you know, on a position where an enemy is going to potentially be. You don't want to be aiming at the wall, you know, you don't want to be like this. You want to be sort of ready, really smooth centering, and this is something you don't want to make a focus on. You want this to be subconscious. You want this to be something that you're naturally doing, so that way you can focus on, you know, actually making decisions that's going to outplay the enemies. So centering is huge, especially when sniping. So you want to be having your reticle centered at all times, or an enemy could be, you know, like, because I'm level, I'm not aiming at the ground like this, you know, because I'm so level, I'm able to just turn and I could snap onto someone potentially, you know, similar to that in a sense. And I've practiced my centering a lot more this year than ever. And doing that, to practice, just shoot bots like I am now. pick a gunfight map and just slay away, shoot 100, 200, 1,000 bots just to get the muscle memory going. You know, having, you know, your shot on, having your hands warm, it will inevitably make you better at the game. Without a doubt. You know, your centering, if your centering is good, if you're always, you know, ready. And then there's also sort of predicting or being prepared for an enemy to actually be around a corner. So, you know, you always want to be centered. Like, let's say, for example, there's this head glitch there. Let's pretend there's someone there. You want to have the weapon centered there. So when I get there, all I have to do is aim down the sight and shoot. You know? So if I'm like coming around the corner like this and I'm like all the way down here and the enemy's up here, I'm going to have to stress there and try and work out my aim a little bit and drag and maintain the recoil at the same time. You know, things like that. Just things you don't want to be really focusing on when you're about to take on someone in a really dominant position. I think head glitching's a prime example, because when it comes to centering, you definitely want to be above the head glitch already. So when I'm coming in the corner, it's not me adjusting, I'm already adjusted. I'm already ready to go. A lot of people probably already do this, but I'm really hoping that it could help someone, or even remind someone that it's very good to always be centered and ready to go. So I'm not sure what else I was going to talk about. I think centering was huge. Shooting bots a lot to get your muscle memory going and to get your shot on is, you know, very, very important. Using the same gun more often, the same attachments more often. I mean, if you're using different attachments in your warm-up bot lobby and compared to your Warzone or, you know, multiplayer quick match lobby, then, you know, that's going to damage your shot a little bit. You're going to be used to the way the gun handles here and not there. At the moment, I have the radar on up the top left. You can see everyone's red UAV dots permanently there. I have that there just as an example for a method of learning the spawns. So when you go to play, let's say you're going to play a competitive game mode like Domination, Search and Destroy, mostly respawn, so Domination, Hardpoint, Headquarters, you know, doing a bot lobby or just a lobby where you can see where the enemies are spawning, because having that sort of knowledge is important when it comes to controlling the map. So if you know off by heart where, you know, enemies are spawning, that's going to be very useful when it comes to you making a decision to move to a certain power position on the map to maintain control and potentially, you know, capture an objective or defend an objective, or, you know, get the better spawns for your team that's going to spawn closer to the objective. You know, having knowledge of the maps and the spawns and the game modes alone will, you know, really, really improve the way that you play your game. I really hope that I've made sense today in this video and that it helps someone. Please comment and let me know which tip or whatever has actually helped you, you know, with the way that you play, because it's interesting. What I've been focusing on lately is sensitivity and just centering. Also slide cancelling, which is, you know, you're sprinting and you double tap your slide button. So you're going to slide into a crouch position, and then after you do that, you stand up. So then you press the X button. This movement is really useful. It readies your gun much faster, and it also resets your tactical sprint. So you almost have infinite tactical sprint. So you might see a lot of pro players doing it, because it's very, very useful. And something that I reckon that you should practice. Even when it comes to sliding around a corner and having the gun ready, and doing the little slide cancel behind head glitches can really throw off your enemy. Something that I would, you know, encourage to do. You know, you want to be throwing off your enemy, you know, all day. You want to be, you know, very unpredictable. You want to make it very hard for the enemy to hit. So when it comes to jumping around corners, double jumping, or the little bunny hop bounce that you might see some people doing, where you sprint, strafe, and jump, you know, those sort of things are massive. And, you know, it takes hours. It takes, I'm losing my voice. I've talked that much. I never talk this much, not even live. It's actually crazy. So I do stream to Twitch, and I try to stream to Twitch every single day. And I've gone a bit off topic there, but you know, to develop good movement and understanding of Call of Duty and any game and anything in life, you have to put the time in. You have to put the time in, pay attention to what you're doing, and, you know, fix the mistakes if you make any. And, you know, try to really believe in winning and learning rather than winning and losing. You know, you always want to be learning and improving all the time, even if you do it a little bit. Not anything crazy, just a little bit. You'll get better and better and better and better. You know, when it comes to Warzone and other team mode based game modes and competitions, you know, developing as a team, it just comes down to playing a lot more as a team, understanding one another, and a lot of teamwork and an awful lot of patience. The last thing I'm going to say, and I've heard a few pro players say, you know, anyone can shoot, anyone can move. The biggest thing that separates pros from amateurs and from the rookies is decision making and deciding when to move and when to shoot. So if I'm going to sit here and wait for this guy, and I'm going to sound for him and be ready for him and then shoot, although I just died, but you kind of get the point, the timing. You know, are you in a position where you can just wait? Are you in a position where you should push? Should you risk your life? You know, things like that. You don't hear many people talking about, you know, and developing on that. You know, developing on your patience, on your, you know, composure, you know, not choking, even practicing your breathing. Things might be getting a little extreme now, but you know, this is what the pros don't talk about. Practicing your breathing, practicing everything, you know, always wanting to improve no matter what. Just sitting here in custom games, bot lobbies for hours and hours and hours, and getting used to the way that the gun handles, the way that it recoils, the way, you know, that you can control the weapon and become better with the weapon and the attachments on the weapon. The attachment system in this game is crazy. And, you know, with that being said, there's a lot of different ways for a gun to be built. So there's a lot of different ways for a gun to be played with and, you know, to execute certain plays with and whatnot. I really hope that I've helped people with this video, and I really hope to see some people from the YouTube side of things come over to Twitch and just say, "G'day, I saw your video and it actually helped me." You know, the tip of, you know, working out what my sensitivity should be, which I actually haven't gone over yet. You know, sensitivity is different for a lot of people. Using a lower sensitivity and trying to work out, you know, what works best for your playstyle. If you're really fast, you might want to be a little quicker. You know, if you're very passive, you might want to be, you know, sort of like slow when it comes to angling and trying to get an angle on somebody and getting around certain objects and, you know, things like that. So some players with sensitivity use a lower sensitivity but a higher ADS sensitivity, and then some people use a higher sensitivity but a lower ADS sensitivity. At the moment I'm experiencing and grinding with this sensitivity I've got currently, and it seems to be working good for me. I'm able to turn just quick enough in Warzone if someone's camping in a corner, and the ADS sensitivity is still low enough and fast enough that I can still snap onto someone and somewhat control what I'm doing and control the recoil and miss, you know, minimal shots possible. There's a lot of different things that I think I could go over that might not be worth it, and you might not, or you might already know it. So I think this might be the end. I really hope I haven't missed anything I intended to talk about, but I really, really do. At the end of the day, I would say to play a lot, shoot a lot of bots, and, you know, you're really only going to get as good as who you're versing. You know, if you're always versing players that, you know that you are better than, you're not going to become much better of a player. The harder the enemies you verse, the smarter the enemies you verse, you know, the smarter and better that you are going to become as a Call of Duty player, and probably even a gamer. And I'm pretty sure the same thing can be applied to most player versus player multiplayer video games, and even sports as well. You know, you can't be playing against rookies. You want to be playing against other really good players to get, you know, good at whatever it may be. From a competitive side of things, you know, even as a casual gamer, I think some of the things I've gone over today might help you, and I really hope they do help you. And I really do hope to see you guys on Twitch. So it's Twitch, Xyviz Gaming, and I hope you all have a good day. And once again, for the 1 millionth time, I just really hope I help you become better at Call of Duty. Alright guys, I'll see you later. Alright, bye bye.